Look at all those members. Look at them all go. Oh, please put on mute.
Recording it.
I think it's the WA members.
All right.
They figured it out.
Okay. Well, we're already 2 minutes in. I think we're going to have to kick this off, this Golden Jubilee event. This is incredible. Welcome, everyone, the 50th celebration for ASFB. My name's Mike Steer. I've been kicking around the marine science community for a little while, and there's many familiar faces here. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge and respect the traditional custodians whose ancestral lands we are meeting upon today. We acknowledge the deep feelings of attachment and relationships of First Nations people. We also pay respects to the cultural authority of First Nations people attending from other areas of the world present here today. And I'm on Kaurna country here in Adelaide, and welcoming everybody as part of, hosting the World Fisheries Congress, which ASFB have been an important part of. Just a quick one, we'll have a few people come in and tell us a few anecdotes and some history and some stories about ASFB, but I just want to say that my first conference was in Canberra in 2007, and I guess the best thing that I got from that is that the understanding the rich character embedded within the ASFB fraternity, very strong sense of community, and a valued group that embraces young scientists to foster their academic achievement and development. Also, quite a lot of quirky adventures in the collective of the membership group, and I'm very proud to have strong connections and support from the likes of Jeremy Lyle, Bronwyn Gillanders, Gary Jackson, Patrick Koehn, and weirdly Brendan Ebner, which reminds me that I've got to mention that ASFB has a code of conduct. As we're interacting with each other during this session, just remind everybody to be considerate, respectful, and collaborative in your intentions. Welcome everyone. I'd like to call to the virtual stage Eb and Doug, I think, about a toast. I'll hand over to you, Eb.
Thanks, mate. Doug, this is really your shindig, mate. I was there in the 70s, but I was kind of fairly embryonic.
I'll give a quick rundown. As you know, the society started in Sydney through the efforts of people at the Australian Museum, Sydney University, New South Wales, and New South Wales Fisheries. So it was very Sydney focused in the first couple of years. But in '73, we attended a joint meeting with the Australian Limnology Society and the Australian Marine Science Association in Noosa, Queensland. There was at that time a lot of opposition to us having annual meetings because people thought it would take away from the other societies. Fisheries directors were worried about money. But nevertheless, in a dark night in Noosa, we had our first AGM in 1974. Noosa happened to be president at the time. And we took a vote, and we were in a tent at the time. And people voted to continue the meetings annually. And that was really when the society started to take off. In the early days, up to that time, we had about 80 members. It cost $1 a year to belong to the society and 50 cents for students. That obviously grew in a hurry. But the early meetings tended then to be in the Southeast because that's where most people that belonged to the society were. We had meetings in Port Stephens, Narrandera, Victor Harbor. And the nice thing about them was what was talked about earlier, was there was a certain degree of camaraderie that formed because they were small societies and people got together quite frequently, both for work and socially. And they often were booked into single hotels, with the venues were often somewhere else at a fisheries station. there was a a lot of concern about going nationally. Eventually, the society was able to do that. And it's good to see it's grown as big as it has. I don't think we realized at the time just how big it was going to grow. So I think on that note, Brendan, maybe it's time for people to charge their glasses.
Yeah, have a go at filling up a glass, gang. I'm standing in for Helen Larson from the 1970s, and I think it's because I annoy her about Goby identifications all the time that she's decided to refuse to show up. So in response to that, Doug, I think have you got a bottle there, Doug?
Yeah, just my wife's going to do it. She was elected treasurer at the first meeting.
Oh, Doug, I've met your wife, but I think it's better if you introduce her.
Look, I'll tell a quick story while you're doing that. There were some pretty wild parties in the early days, and at Victor Harbor, a conga line formed early in the morning or late at night. The hotel had rented out one room to someone who wasn't part of the venue, and they came out to complain and demanded to talk to who was in charge. And this little voice in the back of the room said, "He's at the head of the line."
Well,
I remember that.
Here's to Brown Brothers, Doug. Yep, we're on.
So here's to the next 50 years.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers to the society.
Here's to ASFB. Awesome.
Cheers.
All right, thank you for that. That's lubricated some whistles. And I think next up, well, a brief history of the society and the Middle Era. It's more like Middle Earth, I feel. And I'd like to invite John Koehn and Mark Lintermans to the lectern to give us an update, or a brief history rather, of the society through the Middle Era.
Thanks, Mike. I don't know whether Lintos is online there.
Yep.
So I'm John Koehn, and wherever Mark is, he's supposed to be on screen, but I can't see him. He's Mark Lintermans. So this is pretty simple. It's Jono and Linto. How are you, Linto? Good?
Yeah, I'm good, John.
Yeah, and welcome to everyone from Wiradjuri land down here. We've got 5 minutes to give you some history, so I'm not sure that's what it's going to be. Someone described this as a talk or a presentation, but really we're just going to crap on. So strap yourselves in for something pretty informal. It's going to be short and sharp. Did you dress up, Lindos? Because I can't see you on screen.
Yeah, I've got my best bloody COVID lockdown shirt on, Jono.
Oh, I thought you had your... that's the one. Yeah, now I can see him. So he's dressed up, and so have I. And we've got something special here because he's got his lurid shirt on, and I've actually got a T-shirt from one of the conferences. So if anyone can identify this.
All right. I'm just letting you know, I'll pick Charlie up, Beck.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I'm just,
You
I'm
need
in
to
town.
mute
I'll just wait until
I'm
he's due
trying
to
to
pick
mute
up.
Gavin. There we go. Thank you.
Anyway, if people can see that T-shirt and they can tell us which conference that's from. No one from the conference that it was at, but if you type it into the chat function, you can win. Mark's got a box of these caps and we'll send you a cap. So there you go.
Okay, so what is that? The conference at that? I've got to wear sunglasses to see that shirt there, Linto. And then the hat's on it. All right. Let's see it happening.
Right.
Now, let's give us a bit of history.
Righto. What was your first conference, Mark?
Well, I tried to get to 85, but I couldn't get a Guernsey because I was only the third string fish biologist in those days. So I finally got a Guernsey in 87 when it came to Canberra.
Well, what were your first impressions of that in the society?
Well, to be brutally honest, I was still a 50% possum guy. So the conference didn't particularly make my heart beat faster. But the conference in 89 on introduced and translocated fishes, it was an absolute cracker. It really got me enthused, had international keynote speakers, worked on the hot topic of the day, which was proposals to introduce fish to the Sepik River. And it was great. It was friendly. It was fun. It was my first presentation. So I was sort of crapping masonry for a bit, but yeah, it went pretty well.
Are you following with the script?
Absolutely. How did you find it, Jono? What was your first conference?
Funny you should ask. Yeah, we piled into a Guppy station wagon and drove up to Naranda in 1983. And I was at the Naranda RSL, so it was cheap pots and palmers all round. There are a fair few old country blokes at the bar. I didn't quite know what was going on, but it was a great time. And I guess I found it just sort of pretty amazing. All the gurus were there. It was very welcoming. It was a bit intimidating, but it was a friendly audience. And I must say that ASFB was a bit different then. I'm going to bring in a special guest. It's my mate Murray, and the deal is that hello, that started the dogs going. Murray, if Murray and Lintos and myself were there, we would have probably made up most of the freshwater people that were there in those days. ASFB was pretty centred on marine and fisheries contexts, with a fair few taxonomists thrown in. But that's changed quite a lot now, and there was a bit of competition with Australian Society for Limnology for a while, but now freshwaters and other areas are entrenched, which is great. I guess it's fair to say that the conferences have been a key gathering point all the way along, and in the old days they used to be 5 days, 5 full days, with a workshop for a couple of days, a day off, and then a conference, and that allowed for everyone to meet and in a very informal setting. And it's just sort of a bit of a shame that we're a bit too busy to do that these days. And the workshops had proceedings, and that meant that you could present a paper and write it up and contribute with the best in the country. And Mark was going to show us the proceedings, but everyone seems to have
right there.
Right, I'm not seeing that, but anyway, that's okay.
As well as the workshops and everything, Jono, I think the committees have been a really important part of ASFB and have made great contributions in a range of fields. And I've actually worn a few hats in ASFB. As people might know, I was a pres. Some people might recognise this one, but, you know, I convened the Threatened Fishes Committee for a number of years and the Alien Fishes Committee. And those committees have always been a great forum for exchange and sort of, you know, key contacts for who to follow up with in the jurisdictions. And of course, there's been the Education Committee and the great work that they do with the student awards. And those student awards have been really key in fostering and recognising new talent, I reckon. We've had habitat committees, fisheries management committees, recreational fishing committees, beer drinking committees, all sorts of things have gone on. And it's a really good way to get involved in the society and to help and give back. And for me, that participation in committees has really contributed to and sort of shaped my career, really. So I've sort of stuck around in the committee scene and try to help the new people that are coming along.
Yeah, it's a really important part of the society. And, Mark, you've done a shit ton of work with that Threatened Species Committee, and that's been very important. So well done. And for those who know nothing about the captain's hat there, I think there was also a wizard's hat at the same time, and that was in Hamilton in New Zealand. And maybe on the chat later we can you can get a few more details of the shenanigans of that night. I still have very fond memories of that and still laugh about it. So anyway, we're coming to the end of the history lesson because we've only got a few minutes. So just to wrap it up, Mark, what have been the best bits and what's ASFB given to you?
So as I said earlier, as someone who was in a 3-man fisheries department, ASFB has given me the opportunity to bounce ideas around, work with peers, interact with heavy hitters who I never thought I'd ever get to speak with. And, I've made lifelong mates, had a lot of fun, probably killed a few brain cells along the way, but essentially I found my people, and that's what ASFB is to me. What about you, Jono?
Yeah, well, look, pretty similar really. And it's about the camaraderie, and it's a very easy way to get to know some of the best fish or fishery scientists in the country, and some really, really great people too, and to learn from them. There's been some super keynote speakers, both from Australia and overseas at conferences during the years. And as with this year, we've often been involved in international events as well, which I think is a real step up. I think as a young researcher, it gave me an organisation within which I could test myself in a friendly sort of atmosphere, take on tasks and gain some confidence and develop. And I think that's been great for things outside of ASFB as well. And certainly just some great friendships. And it's just a shame that we're not all there to actually be to carry on a few more shenanigans this year, but hopefully next year. So with that, that's about it from us. On behalf of Mark and I want to wish everyone all the best, and also thanks to the organisers for persisting with this in a virtual catch up, because it's a difficult thing to do. I think it's great. So we'll see you all. Bottoms up.
Thank you, gentlemen. And I must say, in my time at ASFB over the last decade or so, you two characters definitely added quite a lot of colour to the fraternity, and I appreciate that. You leave a lasting memory, that's for sure. So cheers to you guys. Thank you. Now I'd like to hand over to Bronwyn and the duck, the special. There we go. All right, Bronwyn, so you're going to be talking to us about ASFB and internationalism.
So I got home, I got the duck yesterday, and I said to my family, my husband and son, I've got this duck. And they said, that's a bit off, isn't it? What do you have a duck at a fish conference for? I said, I'm meant to have the duck. I don't know why. So anyway, for those of you that don't know me, I think Alison just said I'm the 24th president of ASFB. I'm also the current president of the World Council of Fisheries Societies. And I got asked to talk about the international side of the society. My husband said to me, is that because pre-COVID you never used to be here because you were traveling so much? And I thought, no, not at all. So I'm going to predate Mike a little, who I think is just a baby with the time, his first conference. My first conference I originally thought was only 20 years ago. And then I did the maths correctly and realized it was 30 years ago. So who knows where that was? I can give you a hint. You can put it in the chat function if you know where the conference was 30 years ago. There's no prizes for winning it, but I'll give you a hint. The theme was recruitment, if my memory serves me correctly. No, it's not Bendigo. Hobart, Dave Crook. Maybe I met you there. It was indeed Hobart. I had literally just commenced my PhD, coming from the land of the long white cloud. I had spent about less than a year in Australia. It was an amazing conference, but interestingly, it took me another 4 or 5 years before I came back to an ASFB conference, and that was a joint international one with the international larval fish people, and it was a joint one in Sydney, organised by my PhD supervisor at the time, Professor Mike Kingsford. And I've got very fond memories of meeting up downtown in Sydney with quite a few of the international delegates. And I vaguely remember something around flaming Zambucas being spilt down the front of an international delegate. And I also have memories of, because it was being organised through our lab group, and it was way before the time of, at that stage, using professional conference organisers. And so there was a few emails coming through, including from somebody in, I'll just say America, that questioned whether you could camp near Sydney Uni. And we just thought that was hilarious. The next question that came in was, did you have to be aware of crocodiles? And I thought, wow, where did these people come from? So that was 1995, I think, if I'm right, the Indo-Pacific. No, it wasn't the Indo-Pacific, it was the International Larval Fish Conference. I think the following year, and I think a number of people on this Zoom meeting were probably involved in the World Fisheries Congress, which was in Brisbane in 1996. That really, that time, and the fact that the Australian Society of Fish Biology were founding members of the World Council of Fisheries Societies, along with AFS, the Americans, the Fisheries Society of the British Isles, and the Japanese Society, probably really is what catapulted the society into the international league, if you like. Just looking to see what other notes I had. I think there was a big tomb of a publication. I don't know if anybody's got that, a conference proceedings from that meeting. A big blue book, if my memory's serving me correctly, that had thousands of papers in it for those that might have attended. The other group that we have a very strong relationship is with is New Zealand, and obviously on the exec we now have members of New Zealand as if it's another state similar to Australia, and the New Zealanders probably think of us as being West Island. So it's great to have them on board. We've had a number of conferences in New Zealand. The 2003 conference, I think, was our first one in Wellington, New Zealand. Again, that's not one that I was actually at. And I think if you look at the Hall of Fame and you go to the very bottom of my notification in the Hall of Fame, you'll see why. I think I had a little baby at that time. He's grown up, given me a great opportunity to move around. And I think if my memory is correct, that the next conference was the Hamilton one. I was trying to figure out where Hamilton was, what year it was. I think it's 2013. So that was actually during my presidency. And I'll just add that this 50th celebration has a quorum for an AGM. The Hamilton one had a quorum, but only just. So we're doing much better on our 50th celebrations than we were on that Hamilton meeting. The other memories of international links are we set up the International Postgraduate Student Travel Award, and originally that was to an AFS meeting, but it became very apparent early on that many of the student members didn't necessarily want to go to those massive big AFS meetings, and so it expanded out to be more encompassing than just AFS. We've also got quite strong ties with the AFS group, with the presidents coming between societies, which is absolutely fantastic, or their representatives. And I remember the one, hey, can you guys shut up, please? Sorry. I'm thinking you can hear them in the background. So the AFS meeting, I remember the one on the east coast of the US, was it, I think Eb was there. There was, new age parenting. This is to my husband and 18-year-old son. So I'll just add that in there. That one was amazing with Ebb. There was also the one in Reno, Nevada, where Jane Ham and I rocked up, having come in on a flight. The temperature was about -1 degrees. We ran into an AFS president, Harry Balcom, in his shorts and t-shirt, waiting for his shuttle to the hotel. We get to the hotel. Harry had to wait a bit longer than us from memory. Get to the hotel, and on the check-in desk is a sign saying, "Please check your guns in before going to your room." So there's been some great memories of American Fisheries Society meetings, and with the next World Fisheries Congress in Seattle in the US, hopefully we'll all be able to get there and experience a bit more of the US culture. It's been great being a member of the society. Like others have said, all these memories and great friendships that you had. I remember like meeting a lot of the people that are on this call over the years, and time again, you just are remembered that they're there if you ever need anything related to fisheries. So it's been wonderful. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Bronwyn. Thank you very much. Yeah, and it does look like Charles Todd is taking notes. It's a familiar sort of look. I'm going to go off script a little bit because I've just been informed that Helen Larson has just joined us, and it would be lovely to hear a few words from Helen there if you're in a position to talk.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, good. I hit the unmute button. I've been a member of ASFB for a long time, but I don't remember how long, because when I moved from the Darwin Museum to my Gobi room here in Mission Beach, I had to triage lots of paperwork, and I lost all my newsletters and brochures and things. But I remember Doug taking me along to a meeting when I first started work at the museum, and it was at New South Wales Fisheries with Paxton and Dave Pollard and all kinds of other strange fishy beings. And it was a small group, but it made me feel like I was part of a fishy community immediately. And I went to a number of the annual general meetings, which were usually very politically incorrect. And I'm very sad to see that the Don Francois Award is no longer awarded, because that was so much fun. Everyone behaved very badly in order to win the award. Usually men, usually drinking too much and doing strange things. I'm sorry I came in late. I heard Doug telling the end of the story about the conga line at Victor Harbour, and that was the best fun. It really was. And now ASFB is really big. And the last one I went to was in Hobart, and I didn't know most of the people there. And it was a little odd, because it had changed so much from this small community of fish people, fisheries biologists and taxonomists, and it was now a lot of people. When we have a real one, I really want to go, because the terrible thing about this is that I can see people I know, but I can't really talk to them. And that being able to talk to people was the best thing, because it didn't matter whether you were an important person or a student or whatever. Fish biology meant that you could always talk to anybody, and anybody would talk to you. And that's what I really like about fish biology. They're really good meetings. And I'm a taxonomist, so I speak a different language to a lot of the people that come there, but they are always fun, and the fun and the dancing and carrying on, that's part of interacting with fish people.
Thanks very much, Helen. And yeah, very, very special memories and a good, comfortable fraternity.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
I'll turn myself off now.
Now, I've got a trio I think I need to invite to the virtual lectern. Louise, Leanne, and Krystle. Who's holding the fort on this one?
Hi. It was actually just two of us.
Oh, okay. Well,
you've got your hat. Good.
All right.
Oh, well done. We've got our party hats on. We had organised this before. Well done.
Oh, awesome. Well, we were asked today to talk about what our experience with ASFB and what we think the best things about being a member. I suppose I can go first, but my first ASFB conference was in Bondi quite a few years ago, I think. And yeah, it was a bit daunting when I first walked in, but I loved chatting about my talk afterwards. Everyone was so friendly, to the point where I got roped into being a Queensland rep for ASFB. I didn't really know what it was involving until all of a sudden there was the planning of the 2011 Townsville conference. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I met so many fishy people from all around Australia and New Zealand, and just by being involved. And now I fully understand what goes into organising a conference. How about you, Krystle? You've been involved that way?
Yeah, that's right. Well, so my first conference was in Darwin, which was good memories, and met Leanne there, didn't I? And we've had good memories of that one. But the one that was really memorable for me was the Sydney conference, where Matt Taylor invited me to organise a student social mixer at the pub, of course. So, you know, we organised these matching cards, you know, the fish matching cards, if anyone remembers that from the Sydney conference, because we were trying to get everyone to get mixed with the students so everyone could mingle. And then, you know, of course, you had the drink vouchers and the tokens, but the bar ran out of beer. That was interesting. So I had a lot of complaints of people coming to me saying, there's no beer. What do we do? What do we do? But that for me was great, because it meant I got to meet a lot of you and meet people that I hadn't met before, get to know people from that. And I had a lot of people who came up to me afterwards saying that was a really great mixer. Thank you so much for organising it, because it meant that people actually did mix, which was the whole purpose, and got to talk to seniors and meet some other people that hopefully helped them down a career path. But yeah, that was really memorable. Some of the good things about the society is really encouraging involvement in the actual sessions themselves. So it was good that I got to be asked to be a chair for some of the sessions, and obviously means you have to pay attention to the conference, to the talk, and ask questions. But it also means then you get to know a bit more about the speakers themselves and a bit more about what they do, and also have you get to be up there in front of people too. So as a student, it's a bit daunting, but also I think people think you're pretty brave for getting up there and sharing a session too. What do you think, Leanne?
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, as part of that, there were so many great talks over the years as well. Like, you know, some of them stick in your mind, and, you know, you go back and think about those sometimes groundbreaking results quite a while ago, and now, you know, it's things have been built upon that. But yeah, I suppose the other thing for me is the connections that I've created through ASFB. That's been a huge one for me, not only being part of the exec, but just as a member as well. For example, I contacted Bronwyn Gillanders when I started my PhD to talk about otoliths and microchemistry, and that helped me a lot in starting that section of my PhD. I've also contacted other members in the society that I've seen on job application, you know, contact me if you have questions, and, you know, is the job up my alley? And if it wasn't, it saved me a lot of time. So that's been another really good thing. But yeah, I don't know, connections, you know, ASB to me has felt like a big family. Like, I just love going to every conference because, you know, you get to catch up with people, you get to talk fish. Yeah, it's fantastic. And all the fun things that go along with it, you know. Krystle and I were trying to think of some of the cool things we remember. Harry's yellow beard was one. Dancing the night away at many different conferences, but Patrick Koehn wearing a tux one year. Find your fish. Yes, I remember that one. Yeah, and for me, it was trying to keep the duck safe in Melbourne as it was being passed around bars and everything. And I think it was getting a bit intoxicated. But yeah, I was paranoid that I was going to lose this duck, and then having to kick it after the conference was finished to the next person, because you really don't want to miss that. But yeah, it's been awesome.
Fantastic. Now we got a cake. Is that right?
Yes, we have to. Seeing as we're not there in person, we have to. Are you ready, Krystle?
I've got my cake and I'm just lighting it. All right. I actually have. Yeah, you got your cake. Yep. Here we go.
Yep,
so we just put this in. Happy birthday, ASFB.
Happy birthday. Happy 50th birthday. Ready? 1, 2,
Happy
3.
birthday to you.
You weren't going to sing.
Yeah, we're not singing. We decided against that.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Now, I'm going to, well, if anybody wants to have a chat with this audience, please let me know and I'll throw to you. Otherwise, I reckon I might just hand over, without notice to our current president. Alison King, you want to say a few words?
Actually, no, not really.
You have to.
I'm having a great time. I have to say, what I'm doing at the moment is capturing some pictures of what everyone, like just everyone's faces, and it's just gorgeous seeing everybody's smiley faces, toasting, and I so miss that. It's just great to see everybody, and that's all really I wanted to say. It's been such a challenging 2 years in terms of trying to get us all together, and we know that we want to, and it's great that we can do it, albeit virtually, and I'm just enjoying seeing everyone's faces. So well done, everyone. I'm stoked that you're all here. Thank you.
Fantastic. Eb, you've always got something to say?
Yeah, happy birthday.
Oh, let me go through. I'm just going to try and pick out a few names here. Just put you on the spot. That we haven't seen for a while. I heard Crookie. Okay, mate, you've just lined up.
Oh, right. Thanks. What was I? Did I just happen to be right next to you?
Oh, you just happen to be in Wheel of Fortune.
Well, yeah. Look, it's great to see you all. It's good to talk about the all the old memories, but I suppose for all the people who are a bit more recent and having to listen to all the people who've been around a while, reminiscing, your time will come when you go, oh, you remember back in 21, the bloody COVID years, you know, and we all had to do a Zoom meeting instead of meeting in person. And hopefully we'll have a couple of decades of getting back to normal by then. But yeah, look, it's been, ASFB has been a real big influence on my career, and I've really always looked forward to ASFB. It's always a great time to get it. So I'm just crossing my fingers we can, you know, all get back together in person as soon as possible. But hey, this is the next best thing.
Yeah, it is. And it's working pretty well by the looks of things.
Hey, Mike, can you just make sure that no one from Western Australia speaks? Please. This is a back channel. I hope they can't hear me.
Yeah, okay, I can do that. I want to throw to, this is Catherine Cheshire.
Randomly selected, hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you. Look, I just have to echo the comments. It is amazing to see everybody's faces on here. It's been an absolutely cracking couple of years. I have to say, you know, at the beginning of the week, my heart was absolutely breaking not to get together with everyone in Adelaide for this particular, you know, adventure, because Adelaide's my home state. So being able to see everyone on the screen is just fantastic. I've loved being a part of ASFB for the 16 years that I've been part of it. I've been on and off the various executive councils across 3 different states and done a couple of organising committees. So it's just been fantastic, and being part of the Future of the Society committee and everything. It's just heading in all the right directions. So I'm going to be stoked to see where it goes over the next, you know, however long I'm around for.
Fantastic. All right, I'm liking this this Wheel of Fortune thing. John Morigello.
Thanks, Terry. Well, I've got a little sidekick here. There's a few in the background. So over here, the 3-year-old's doing some artwork. She should be in bed, but anyway, this is the way things roll. I love the society. It's been such a good thing for me. I mean, I think Kat and I, we sort of went to our first conference back in in Darwin in 2005, and from there, I've just loved going to it. The society's given me so much. It's helped me develop my professional skills. I've met some great friends. learned some cool science. And then it's just been really nice in the last few years to begin to start giving back to society as well. It's a really good community of people. And it's really nice now with students of my own coming through. They're attending the conference here. Some of them are on here tonight. And it's just lovely for them to get this, the culture that's been bred for many years. And it's just something that it's a really strong and valuable thing that we've got and something we should cherish. So we're very lucky to have such a great and welcoming society. Happy 50th.
Happy 50th. Fantastic. Charles Todd, you've been around for a long time. You're on mute.
My first response is bastard. No, I haven't actually been around that long. My first ASFB conference was 1999, Bendigo. And I recall that, I've been secretary for a number of years. And so I've been attending conferences. I missed a few perhaps in the early 2000s. I don't think I got to Darwin in 05. But say I've been to about 20 conferences over that time. I've only ever once been asked to chair a session. And that happened to be Canberra 2007. And I ended up chairing a couple of sessions. And this might be the reason why I was never asked to chair any sessions after that. I handed out a couple of prizes to which I thought were the best talks for those sessions that I chaired. And Ben Broadhurst is one of the recipients of the prizes I handed out, which I think was a bottle of beer. And I've never been asked to chair a session since.
Good. All right. Okay. Now, dare I go there to WA? Gary Jackson, are you able to? Are you near a microphone?
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Cool. Well, thanks for the opportunity, finally. Natural selection, Brendan, if you're in charge of the list. So how's that natural selection? Anyway.
There's a bit of interference coming through, Mike.
I'll just mute Eb.
I just want to say fantastic to do this, and thanks for organising all those that had a role. This has been really, really good. Listening to people over the decades. I just want to make a couple of points. One, it's going to be difficult to acknowledge Alison's contribution and the handover to Gretchen, without actually a live audience. So we need to make mention of that. And I've got a bunch of younger people here sitting with me who are looking to the future of ASFB conferences, what that actually looks like. And we've already had some talks here today about we might need to try and do a virtual national and somehow a state live thing that kind of fits together over the next year or two, which I think is really something we need to explore so that these young people can come along and actually have some get the vibe, if you like, without the possibility of maybe actually a national thing. So plenty to think about, but yeah, thanks for the memories. I love this society, as you know, and we need to keep it going.
That wasn't so bad. The WA, they're all right, aren't they?
Oh.
Thanks, Gary. Look, we will break in a minute to some breakout groups to chat, but before that, because Gretchen's name was mentioned, I'm gonna throw to her.
Well, thanks for that, Mike. I just realized when Bronwyn said that she was the 24th president, that makes Alison the 28th and I'm the 29th. And I also realized that somehow I've gone from my first ASFB meeting to the president in less than 10 years, which is, oh goodness, thanks Bronwyn. And I think Dan Stowes was the one who tapped me on the shoulder for at the Adelaide 2012 conference to be the student rep. So that's for the next year, the upcoming student rep. So that's how my stint in ASFB began. And it's been really cool looking at everybody's face that's on our Zoom tonight. It's amazing. Thanks everybody for coming to this, and thanks Alison for all the work that you've done over your presidency. And man, you've had a rough time. You've gone through some hoops for us. So yeah, it's been wonderful. I love this society. I've met so many wonderful people through, well, the last almost 10 years. It's been such a place where that everybody is so inclusive, and it's so supportive of students. And then as you go through your career, and then now I can look at everybody that's on Zoom tonight, and I know most of you or recognize you from your work, and have spoken to a lot of folks at conferences. So it's amazing. So thank you again. And yay to 50 more years. Happy birthday. Thanks,
Amazing
Mike.
work. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So look, we're going to go, I'm going to politely ask our host, Erica, to push us into some small groups where we'll be able to chat for about 20 minutes or so, I think it is, or maybe a bit longer. And then we'll come back at 8:20 Australian Eastern Standard Time. That's, I don't know what it is at WA. So look, that does draw us to at the end of the celebrations. And look, it clearly, for those who want to connect or remain connected, can set up their own link, I guess, and talk about those things that we started to talk about. By all means, go ahead. But what I would want to do is just absolutely congratulate everybody for for really supporting ASFB, making it the great collaborative society that it is, having a strong connection with each other and looking out for each other, supporting innovation and development of new ideas, connecting young people to supervisors, keeping each other safe in conferences and giving them the support that they need, and most definitely looking forward to catching up together face to face to share a beer and toast to all of those that are a part of this fantastic society. So that's it, I think. Eb, do you want to have any last words?
No, thanks, Mike, for doing that, mate. I know it's hard herding all the cats, and particularly when you start talking about Pete Unmack in a sort of a semi-sexual manner, it's pretty difficult to kind of rein it in. But I'll leave you to say things that are appropriate, Mike. Good night, everyone. Thanks for showing up.
Well, once I bail, that's it. You guys can go nuts.
Hey, turn up for the AGM. It's always a bit of a difficult thing, and but we can have a few. There's a chat function for the AGM, so we can all have a crack at each other there. And
yes,
yeah. All right, get a quorum, so to speak.
Oh, yes.
All right, and it's lovely seeing my screen just peppered with smiling faces.
Mike, can you tell me who you are?
Yeah, so when my mum and dad met 45 years, well, actually a long time, but they had I'm a research scientist, but the research director of SARDI, Aquatic Sciences in Adelaide.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've been
I'm going to take notes here.
In and out of ASFB over the past.
Are you hosting this?
Now, I think everybody wants to know who you are.
Mike, do you mind if I answer that question? Because I must have been to 10 ASFBs in a row when I was a young fella, and at the end of every conference, I would see you at a bar, and we'd just be having that little quiet drink at the end, reflecting, and then we eventually introduced ourselves to each other, and then 25 years, 30 years later, whatever, someone said the other day in this organising committee meeting, they said, "Oh, Mike Steer would make a good MC." I went, "I know that bloke."
Yeah, you stitched me up.
Thanks for doing it.
Yeah, no worries.
Mike,
I know you want to leave, but Mike, what is your one sentence of what you do? I'm writing notes.
What is the ones?
What are your two sentences? Who are you? What do you do? What do you study? Are you a university person?
Well, I was originally a cephalopod scientist. I caused trouble. Yeah, thanks, John. Went into fisheries science, so fisheries biology as well, and now I don't do any science. I lead a group of talented scientists that I can live vicariously through. Like Gretchen, who's a superstar of Sardi Aquatic Sciences, which is where we work, our new incoming president.
Yeah, and I'm the one that stitched you up to be our MC tonight. Sorry.
Oh, thank you
You're
very much.
fantastic at it.
Thank you, thank you. All right, any parting words?
Yeah, Boise, I'll send you the photos, mate, from tonight.
What photos?
Young people, they're like saving their screens and stuff. But
I wasn't sure if this had to do with something like in
this is what we used to have.
1976 with the new
this is what we used to
running.
have. It's called a
Not that.
camera. And like, I'll get it right now, and that'll end up on the ASFB.
Just stay still. I thought you were going to take a bit of a line drawing, mate.
Yeah, like, and I can't wait to see this next story that Andrew Katzis is going to write up. Who is
If you
Mike
guys
Steele?
have
That's the real Mike
ASFB
Steele.
memory, if you guys have ASFB memories, you can throw them up on the 50th blog, as well as Andrew's still taking pictures. So I think Mike started with that information. He can pass
Purchase
that on.
merchandise as well, Tiff.
Or do you want me to share the screen again?
Maggie, talk about the merchandise.
Just put a link in there.
Oh, well, I don't know how to do it. I'm trying to.
I don't think you need to share the screen because it's nice seeing everybody.
Yeah, don't.
We've got a mug and we've got a pin, and I've just put the link in there.
And they're pretty cheap.
Put it.
And so when you
Do you buy
eventually
this, Maggie? Do you
Yeah,
buy?
just so-
Do you buy these things?
Yep, on the link you buy them, and I'll mail them to you.
Good. I want to buy. I want to go on that sailboat with you. Hey, do you guys know that Eb is like a really talented artist? I went over to his house one day not too long ago. It's amazing, the art and all the. Have you written your children's books? Do you guys know this?
Who is Mike Steer?
I'm going.
That should have been on the mugs. Who is?
Yeah. It's kind of like Wake Up Jeff. It'll be. Who are you, Mike?
Yeah, I'm not enjoying this anymore.
Leave.
It's like the sequel to Forrest Gump. Who is Mike Steer?
It's Mike Steer.
I was just wondering. Maybe I know you, but I don't. I don't really know
we've
all
not
you guys.
crossed
But I know
paths
Peter Unmack a little bit too well.
Can you get some shirts made, mate? Get some shirts made.
There's
Who is
still
Mike?
children watching tonight, so we'll save the unmacked one for a much later time slot. Have a good one, gang. I hope you have a good rest of the conference and a great year. And hopefully we get face to face for one sooner or later, eh?
Well said, mate. Well said.
Cheers, Ed.
Yes.
Thanks for all the hard work, Ed.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Eb.
Well done. Cheers, everyone.
And who is Mike Steer?
Who is Mike Steer?
That's enough out of you, mate.
How many times can you say who is Mike Steer tomorrow at the conference?
I'm going to write this down. I'm going to get a T-shirt for when we all meet.
I'm going to say to my conference, my session opening tomorrow. I think who's Mike Steer?
Yeah.
Who is Mike Steer?
I might say it in the plenary.
All right, thanks for that. Yep, turned out really well. Really enjoyed it. Next 50 years.
Cheers.
What?
Yeah, I won't be here in 50
You're gonna
years.
see me in 50 years?